Hey, it's Colleen.
Hi, it's Kate.
And it's Megan.
And we're the
Three Scheme Queens. Join us as we discuss popular hoaxes and give you our comedic take on what is fact and what is fiction. If you have a sense of humor and an open mind, come take this journey with us.
We'll tell you what we think, and we'll try to prove it to you.
Is this thing on? Hi.
Hey.
Hey. Hi. How y'all doing?
Welcome back to the Three Schemes podcast with your host,
Three Schemes.
Megan, Colleen, and Kate. And I'm Tanner.
And
Who?
I'm Murphy.
Yeah. Hi, Murphy.
You know who we don't have with us today is Judge Barb.
Oh, yeah. It's Bev.
I edited
Same difference.
I edited the episode. I uploaded it, and I was listening to it in my car, and I just started laughing because I completely missed
that it's not Barb.
that you just going, you know who's to blame for this?
There's like multiple rants on it.
Yeah. She's awful.
It's that Barb. It's all Barb's fault. There was a
I
mistrial.
forgot it was Bev.
Yeah.
She was awful.
Judge Bev.
Yeah. Don't like
But
her.
it's just funny. It's like how we say
10% of everything. I
Yeah.
know 10% of everything.
But you're really passionate about your opinion.
Yeah, really passionate about that 10% that I know.
Yeah.
And it's come up more and more often where I'm like, oh, I didn't know that right. I'm also like, I feel like it's Pisces, like the daydreaming. Like I have such an imagination. I can fill it in so quickly.
Yep.
Well, it's like the other day, Megan and I were talking about like when we hear stories over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
The comedian who does the, we follow him on Instagram, who does the, like, how different signs react.
Oh, yeah.
And he did, like, when you're being told a story you've already heard and you know that they're lying, how you react. And the Virgo was like, hold on. I've got the proof, pulls out the phone.
Literally you.
And then the Taurus was like, oh, yes, let me hear the story. Makes you tell the whole story just to call you on how you've been lying.
And the Pisces is the one lying.
No, and the Pisces goes, are you sure this is right? Oh, it is right. Okay. And then just like shuts up and takes it as truth.
If I think something's wrong, I speak up, I think.
I think you speak up, but
It depends on if I'm passionate
but
behind
I think
it.
you don't care to get in a fight about it. Like,
Yeah.
Kate and I will like throw down about who's right, and you'll be like, you're wrong. And then you'll be like, but okay. And
Yeah.
like, I feel like you don't just let it go, but I just feel like you'll
I'll be like,
give in to keep the peace.
in the moment, I'll be like, no, okay, sure. And then I'll turn around and in the group chat with you two, be like, I cannot believe this freaking person right now. That's exactly what I rant, just not to the person I'm fighting.
Because like
I don't like tension.
you're trying to keep the peace.
Like when we were arguing about Benadryl, you
Oh,
put your foot down.
Oh, yeah, I put my foot on Benadryl. I'm very anti-Benadryl.
Hey guys, soapbox. Benadryl
Causes dementia.
causes dementia.
In direct line to dementia.
Causes hyperactivity in children. And we have newer generations, Zyrtec, Zyzol,
Way better.
just as effective as Benadryl.
It just
So
doesn't make you sleepy.
no, but Benadryl doesn't even give you good sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so speaking of things that could put us to sleep, how about a little cocktail?
Cocktail.
Yeah.
Drink
Yeah,
check.
drink check.
What are we drinking today?
Does it taste like summer?
It does. This is one of my favorite summertime drinks.
Honestly, if the only thing that would make this better if we were sitting in Maine in the summertime with
On a
like,
porch.
yes, on a porch, like
Or maybe
The Cape.
Maybe-
Nantucket.
on the Kennedy compound?
Martha's Vineyard.
oh yes.
Oh.
I would love to live like the rich and famous for just one day.
Just one day. Oh my God.
maybe
Just to absolutely ball out for one day only.
and like there's like not a care in the world about like how expensive this is.
Could you imagine?
No, I
But-
couldn't.
Oh yeah, think about that. Like when they do like the Taylor Swift, like how much would these Lululemon would these Lululemon pants cost Taylor Swift compared to us? And it's like
Right.
it's the equivalent of like a half a cent.
$5.
Yeah.
Well, in honor of the warm weather,
$11.
half a cent. In honor of the warm weather,
We're drinking
We're drinking some fresh squeezed lemonade.
from Megan's hands to our mouths.
That's right. We're taking this fresh squeezed lemonade. I added a little blueberry liqueur all the way from Iceland
Delicious.
and a little shot of Tito's.
Yeah.
My favorite.
It's so good. It
Yeah.
tastes like summer in a glass.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the vibe we were going for.
I love a blueberry lemonade.
Yeah. I know you do. I
Some
was remembering.
blubs. It's
This
like
is
my
all-
fave.
Almost as good as a Sonic cherry limeade.
We still have to take Colleen to try a cherry.
Yeah,
Limeade.
we do.
We're going to do that this summer.
A write-off.
So today we're going to talk about the last assassination in our little assassination
Assassination series.
Trilogy. This is our third.
Is this really the third
Did we
Yes.
do Abe Lincoln?
assassination?
Oh, we haven't done Abe Lincoln yet.
We talked JFK.
Right.
We talked MLK.
MLK. I forgot MLK.
And the final one of the three assassinations that, you know, the public seems to think the government is keeping secrets on
JFK.
is RFK.
RFK. IRFK.
We're
And-
supposed to get the receipts for
Yes.
all the Kennedys.
So we got the JFK receipts.
We're just waiting for people to read it for us.
Yeah, we're still going through those guys.
We're just a girl.
But
Yeah, we're not lawyers over here. We're not
No.
trying to go through a million documents. I don't have time for that. I need bullet points and I need it and
I need
double
pictures.
spaced. I need bullet points with things that are bolded that are for importance and double spaced. That's what I need.
yes, so the JFK records were released. We're going through those for you guys. MLK and RFK are coming.
Right.
Okay. So they're getting, you know, the order was signed. They have a deadline. We're going to hear about that. So I'm going to share with you guys what I know, what I learned, and we'll see what you guys think.
Share with
Okay.
the class.
And then hopefully in a few months, we'll figure out if we were right.
Also, we should do Abraham.
Yeah, we should. But I did. Your mind just went to.
Or we were going to do Marilyn Monroe too.
Yes, that's up there. But I
Oh.
just feel like they're like all the government like assassination committees and stuff. These are the
These are the three.
Okay.
The trilogy.
So. Robert F. Kennedy is the younger brother to John F. Kennedy.
Right.
He's a former attorney general and New York senator and a leading Democratic presidential candidate who was assassinated on June 5th, 1968. He was at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles, California, shortly after delivering a victory speech following his win in the California primary. The official story is that Kennedy was shot multiple times by Sirhan Sirhan, a 24-year-old Palestinian man. Sirhan was quickly apprehended at the scene and later claimed that he was angry over Kennedy's pro-Israel stance, particularly his support for Israel in the wake of the Six-Day War in 1967. Kennedy was rushed to Good Samaritan Hospital where he succumbed to his injuries the following day on June 6, 1968. Although Sirhan Sirhan was arrested and convicted of the murder, many conspiracy theories have since emerged surrounding the assassination. Some people believe that there may have been a second gunman or that Sirhan's actions were part of a larger plot. These theories have been fueled by the fact that Sirhan's gun was only a small caliber revolver, which was inconsistent with the murder weapon, and that the physical evidence suggested that the shots that killed Kennedy came from close range, closer than Sirhan was able to stand to the senator at the time. Some argue that there were additional shooters in the pantry, pointing to discrepancies in witness testimony and the trajectory of the bullets. Conspiracy theories point to the possibility of CIA or other government involvement, citing the political climate of the time, with Kennedy being a vocal critic of the Vietnam War and a potential force for change in U.S. politics. Others suggest that powerful figures within the Democratic Party may have had motives for silencing Kennedy as he was gaining momentum in the race for president. Did Sirhan Sirhan act alone, or was he merely a victim of MK Ultra?
Oh,
MK Ultra.
Mhm. Did he actually kill RFK, or was there someone else directly responsible?
Whoa. Was he a patsy?
Yeah, was he a patsy?
I'm just a patsy.
I mean, it's just weird that they like died around the same time.
And they all were like anti-Vietnam.
Right.
They all were like pro the working man.
Pro blue collar.
They all had political rivals.
Interesting.
So what do you guys think without any knowledge?
It's like a big conspiracy.
I feel like you heard MK Ultra and you were like,
I'm in.
sold.
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued, like, why they picked Sirhan Sirhan then, or Sirhan.
Robert F. Kennedy was born on November 20th, 1925 in Brookline, Massachusetts.
Oh, Brooklyn. That's where my dad works.
Is that like a little Jewish neighborhood?
It's a very Jewish neighborhood.
He was one of the most
Are the Kennedys Jewish?
No, they're well-renowned Catholics. Yeah.
Oh.
But it's just a really nice neighborhood to grow up.
He was one of the most influential political figures of the 20th century. He was the second youngest of 9 children in the renowned Kennedy family. His father, Joseph P. Kennedy Sr., was a prominent businessman and ambassador, and his mother, Rose Kennedy, was deeply involved in charitable work. He was the younger brother of President John F. Kennedy, and like his brother, he became involved in public service and politics. So after graduating from Harvard University, he attended the University of Virginia School of Law,
UVA,
and began his career as a lawyer, which ultimately led him to a life in politics. His political career began when he was appointed as counsel to the U.S. Senate's McClellan Committee, where he investigated organized crime. Remember, we talked about this with JFK.
Yeah, they were
anti-mob.
The mob
Right.
did it.
Perhaps. In 1961, his brother, President John F. Kennedy, appointed him as a U.S. Attorney General, a position that he would hold until 1964.
He appointed his brother.
Yeah, Nepo.
That seems very Nepo.
As Attorney General, he became known for his passionate pursuit of civil rights, the fight against organized crime, and his commitment to social justice. He was instrumental in the desegregation of public facilities in the South and aggressively pursued mafia figures, gaining both praise and criticism for his zealous approach. After President Kennedy's assassination in 1963, Robert continued to build his political career. In 1964, he was elected to the U.S. Senate from New York, where he quickly became a leading voice for progressive causes. During his time in the Senate, he championed civil rights, economic equality, and an end to the Vietnam War. His strong advocacy for the poor and disenfranchised earned him the admiration of many Americans, especially young people, African Americans, and Latino communities. His efforts also included a focus on improving education and healthcare for disadvantaged groups.
Because of his sister.
You know.
I know about his sister, yeah.
Do you know about his sister?
It's really sad.
It is sad. In 1968, after a decade of public service, Robert Kennedy decided to run for the presidency. His campaign was driven by a vision of peace, racial equality, and social justice, drawing widespread support across the nation. However, his candidacy was cut tragically short on June 5th, 1968, when he was shot by Sirhan Sirhan, a Palestinian Arab, while campaigning in Los Angeles. So, other than having an interesting name, who is Sirhan Sirhan?
Yeah, tell us.
You may ask. He is a Palestinian man. He was born on March 19th, 1944 in Jerusalem, which was then under British mandate. When he was young, he and his family came over on a Christian sponsorship as Palestinian refugees and grew up in Pasadena. By the 1960s, he became deeply influenced by political events, particularly the Palestinian cause. His feelings of anger and disillusionment intensified following the Six-Day War in 1967, which fueled his resentment towards U.S. foreign policy, especially its support for Israel. It's like nothing has changed.
Yeah.
It sounds like he never really found his calling, but he was training to be a jockey, like a little horse rider.
Oh,
So he's tiny. Had to have been tiny.
Yeah.
In 1966, and he was bucked off a horse and had a TBI. It was like the
Ooh.
first day he had ever gotten on the horse.
Oh, no. That wasn't right.
No, and his family says he was never the same.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a TBI.
Like,
He spent a lot of time by himself, and he got into ancient mystical order of Rosea Christians,
oh God.
which is the spiritual religion that combines elements of Christianity, alchemy, Hermeticism, Kabbalah, and other ancient wisdom
That
traditions.
sounds like a Bennett Witch.
Interesting.
Over the centuries, several groups have emerged, some of which have connections to Freemasonry,
Of course.
It all
It-
goes
yeah.
back to the Masons.
while others are purely mystical in nature. These groups often emphasize self-transformation, the study of occult knowledge, and the development of inner wisdom. So one of the things they do is they hypnotize themselves.
No.
Okay?
On purpose?
Yes. So remember this.
How can you hypnotize yourself?
Yeah, I thought
It's all about
hip-
somebody controlling.
yeah, controlling your mind, controlling your impulses.
I don't believe in it.
Me neither. I think it's all like hocus pocus.
It's true.
But what are you hypnotizing yourself?
It is a state of focused concentration and heightened suggestibility that a person induces in themselves using relaxation techniques, imagery, positive affirmations.
Yeah.
They enter a trance-like state where the mind is open to receiving and acting on suggestions.
It's like severe mindfulness.
yeah.
Yeah.
Move on.
Okay.
Um.
Sounds legit.
So, here's the official story.
What they told the public.
What the government would have us believe. Okay.
Okay.
On June
Those
5th,
liars.
1968, at the age of 42, he was campaigning for the Democratic presidential nomination on a platform that included ending the Vietnam War, fighting poverty, and promoting civil rights. So on June 5th, he had won the California primary, which was a key race necessary to secure the nomination. So that evening, he gave a speech at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles thanking his supporters. He then proceeded to a press conference in the hotel's kitchen pantry. He's walking through this back hallway, and there's like over 70 people crowded in this confined space. And he stops, he's shaking hands with people, and as he turned away to continue walking, shots rang out. So per the LAPD official investigation, Sirhan Sirhan, a 24-year-old Palestinian Arab, approached him with a revolver and shot him at close range.
Oh, no.
He fired 8 shots from the gun, with 3 striking Kennedy and 5 others getting injured. So they say that the first shot struck Kennedy behind the ear, and this was likely the fatal shot that lodged in his brain. The second shot passed through his suit jacket and struck Paul Schrade in the head. Shots 3 and 4 entered under his right arm. One of these bullets lodged in his neck, and the other passed through and lodged in the ceiling. Shot 5 hit Ira Goldstein. Shot 6 ricocheted off the floor and struck Erwin Stroll. Shot 7 struck William Weitzel in the abdomen, and shot 8 ricocheted off the ceiling and hit Elizabeth Evans in the head.
Whoa.
So at the moment of the shooting,
8 shots.
How close was he?
I'm so happy you asked.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that in just a second.
Okay.
Sirhan was quickly subdued by bystanders and tackled to the ground. After being shot, Kennedy was rushed to the hospital where he underwent surgery, but ultimately succumbed to his injuries the following day. So Sirhan, there's like a whole documentary that's going to be like our recommended content this year that actually, or this week, that actually looks at interviews Sirhan's family.
Uh-huh.
And they say that Sirhan had told his brother, so Sirhan had been in JRTC, and he was like, hey, I really want to like practice my marksmanship again. Could you get me a gun? So his brother got a gun.
Yeah, that's right. Give the TBI guy a gun.
Yeah. He was never quite right, but here's a gun. I also feel like if like my brother was like, I'd like to practice my marksmanship, get me a gun, I'd like, why don't you go through
training?
Process?
Yeah. Right. Did that exist in the 60s though?
I don't know. You're asking great questions.
Yeah. But still, like I would think my siblings would have a questioning attitude if I said that.
Yeah.
So his brother buys him a gun.
His brother says he purchased a gun from his coworker, but we have other witnesses who claim that they saw Sirhan attempting to purchase a gun with a girl in a polka dot dress.
Oh.
So Sirhan claims that he has no recollection of anything because so as we go through everything that happened, he's like, I don't remember any of this. Is that the case? Was he hypnotized? Was he MK Ultra? Or is he is it just convenient to say,
hypnotized?
I don't remember any of it?
Yeah, Dr. Fauci.
Anyway, so his version of events was obtained from audio recordings from him under a hypnosis. Okay, so that's how we know what Sirhan claims happened, because he consciously has no recollection.
Wait, so they hypnotized him to get a confession out of him? Is that what you're saying?
Well, he's like, I don't remember what happened on this day. So like, well, let's hypnotize you and see if we can figure out what happened.
Put you in the trance that you were in.
Do you think hypnotizing works?
No.
Hypnosis?
Yeah, that's the word.
No.
I keep thinking hypnotics, but that's not right.
I feel like it wouldn't work on me, but I feel like that's because I wouldn't be able to focus. So I don't know that means it wouldn't work on other people.
You have to be very susceptible.
I feel like you can't be skeptical.
Yeah.
And you're like the queen of skepticism, Megan.
Well, yeah, it's like why I don't get visited by ghosts, you know?
Oh, I definitely feel like I get visited by ghosts.
Well, yeah, I feel like you'd be open about that.
Yeah, but I don't think I would be hypnotized. I'd get too distracted. I'd be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but I think that Kali might be the most likely to get.
I don't think so. Yeah, but I don't think I would. I can't focus. So it's like if I have to sit there and listen to you try to chant me into a state, I'm gonna be like, you got a funny shirt on. You know what I mean? Like I don't think I could.
That's true. You might. Yeah.
I don't think I can. Yeah.
I think you would laugh at him.
Yes, I can't zone in enough to be hypnotized.
And Megan would just be like, this isn't gonna work, and I would just be like, you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And I'd also be like, so embarrassing to be hypnotized. Have you seen those party events where they do hypnotizing? Mm-hmm. They did that my senior year of high school. The girl who got hypnotized, so embarrassing.
Yeah, they can do like whatever.
They had her barking. No. Anyways, so,
I just don't believe it. I just am like, you for real are like somewhere and then they snap their fingers and then you come to again? Like,
no way.
That's not real.
Okay. So, again, that is the whole story that we get from Sirhan's point of view. was obtained under hypnosis by Dr. Diamond, who was a psychiatrist who was, again, helping to try to help him recover memories. And to be clear, Dr. Diamond sounds like a real shady character.
Yeah, I want to know Dr. Diamond's credits. Where did he go to school?
Oh,
Was he a psychiatrist?
She said psychologist.
he was a psychiatrist.
Oh, psychiatrist. Oh.
Well, many people believe that he was involved in MK Ultra.
Psychiatrists prescribe the meds. Psychologists do the therapy.
Well,
right?
psychiatrists can also do therapy,
Okay.
but yeah, psychologists don't have prescriptive authority.
Right.
And so I think listening to some of the clips, it does sort of sound like Dr. Diamond is coaching Sirhan through the story. Yes. So if we believe his story that came out under hypnosis, on the day of the assassination, he bought 2 boxes of .22 caliber bullets and practiced for 6 hours at the shooting range.
Hold on, I would like to say, it's not that I think that people like the only way I believe hypnosis is like somebody has like repressed memories. Oh, I guess this guy would.
That's what he's alleging.
Yeah. But the person's they're like isn't there like things where they like walk you through like
Yes, but also how
they have you relax enough
Like
and then
childhood trauma.
and then and then they'll be like, and what do you see in the door? Like it's like very open ended, like open-ended questions that help them like.
Yeah, but I'm also not 100%. I think I'm not saying that's.
But isn't there also like a scientific thing that where like our minds will fill in the gaps for us?
But I don't think that's
we proved ours fill in the
right. But isn't that scientifically proven?
I don't necessarily people who recover these repressed memories in general. I'm like maybe half the time do I actually believe it. So he claims he bought these 2 boxes and he practiced for 6 hours at the shooting range. Then he tried to challenge his buddy to a game of pool, but his friend wasn't interested. So he decided he would go check out some of the campaign parties. He says he had 4 Tom Collinses.
Oh, my dad loves a Tom Collins.
Tom Collins.
It's like a lemonade,
Gin?
Isn't it?
Gin, lemon juice, sugar, and water.
Oh.
That's
Sounds like
essentially
lemonade,
It's
though.
like gin,
Yeah.
gin and sparkling lemonade. Well, that's
Yeah.
what we should have been having.
That's
today,
like
girls.
my go-to. Oh, I love a
But
Tom.
Megan doesn't like gin.
No.
Oh, I love gin.
So he had 4 Tom Collins, went to the hotel to get some coffee because he's like, man, I got accidentally drunk and now I have to drive. So he's like, I need some coffee because I'm a little drunk. And this girl in a polka dot dress
Oh,
helps him make coffee. He said she took him into a room and then he recalled being angry about how Kennedy was handling the Middle East. But again, it sounds like on this audio, Dr. Diamond might be kind of coaching him through like, well, weren't you angry, about his handling of the Middle East?
yeah.
So then somebody like, was this like our first ever Arab terrorist or was he just another patsy,
Mm.
And then he doesn't really remember anything after that. And when he and his mother, and we know that like when his family went to visit him in jail the first time and she was like, what happened? He was like, I don't remember. His story has always been like,
Claims.
I don't remember. So anyway, he ended up pleading guilty due to diminished capacity based on his TBI, and he remains incarcerated in San Diego.
He's still alive?
He is still alive.
San Diego.
He was sentenced to death by gas chamber in 1972, but that was eventually commuted to a life sentence. He was actually paroled in 2021, but then Governor Gavin Newsom blocked the parole.
Interesting.
So let's talk about, I'm going to tell you about what the motive would be for this crime and then some of the inconsistencies in the official story, okay?
Okay.
So Paul Schrade, who I mentioned he got shot.
One of the guys.
He's one of the guys. He was a supporter, confidant, and former leader of the United Auto Workers Union, and he was one of the bystanders. And he disagreed with the LAPD version of events. So this sounds very similar to the JFK, where the
people there, like
the other people who got shot were like, that's not how it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, none of the sequence of events and how the guns were fired per the LAPD, how the gunshots went off. He disagrees with all of that.
Okay.
You were asking, Kate, how far away Sirhan Sirhan was.
Yeah.
So if you believe the autopsy report, the shooter was standing 1 inch behind RFK.
1 inch?
You know where Sirhan was?
Across the room?
6 feet away.
No way it was 1 inch.
1 inch?
So Sirhan was 6 feet away holding his gun parallel to the floor, not in an upward angle. Okay, just straight on. The gunshots that came from 1 inch behind RFK were in an upward angle, like someone was holding the gun.
Like a
they were
security
behind
guard.
them.
Yeah.
Holding the gun.
Up. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so all the witnesses who were present were like, if the autopsy findings are correct and that the shooter was an inch behind RFK, then all of the people who were there were like, well, we saw Sirhan Sirhan and there's no way it could have been him based on his location
And yet
his
they
position.
still...
They claim, so the witnesses claim that Sirhan Sirhan actually fired 2 shots because there's 8 shots total fired, right?
Okay.
They claim he had his gun out, he fired 2 shots, and the first shot struck a bystander, and then 1 shot hit the door frame, got lodged in the door frame. And after these 2 shots were fired, because remember I told you that immediately all these people pounced on him.
Right.
So as soon as these 2 shots are fired, he gets pounced on, and he's holding the gun in his hand, and they're like banging his hand against the table to get him to let go of the gun. And so as they bang his hand on the table 6 times, 6 shots go.
They were stupid to bang his hand.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
They were trying to,
I would have just broken his
gain
arm.
control. And so it was those 6 shots that came off that struck the 5 injured bystanders that we discussed earlier.
The first 2, we don't think actually came from him.
I think he shot 2 shots. Neither of those shots is what killed anybody, but he shot 2 shots. So 1 shot they think was 1 shot struck a bystander.
Okay.
And 1 shot, and we're going to talk about this, lodged in like the wall.
Okay.
The door frame. I mean, I think what I believe here is this kind of second gunman theory, right? So in 1975, the LA DA's office performed an investigation. They claim there is little to no evidence to support the 2 gunman theory. But again, this all is just very similar to JFK, in which it's like we have all these investigations, and some of them are like, yeah, there was definitely more than 1 person. And then some of them are like, oh, no, there's no conspiracy. It's fine. So what does that mean? I don't know. Speaking again about, you asked about the number of bullets. So we know there were 7 bullets removed from these like patients, from RFK and these bystanders. And 1 was lodged in the ceiling. And the gun could hold 8 bullets. Okay. So if we say there's 7 bullets in patients and 1 in the ceiling, and the 1 in the ceiling, that's 8. Okay. So what we're saying then is if you find any other bullets, then it had to be a second gun.
And they found other bullets.
Well, there are FBI photos of multiple bullet holes in the walls, but witnesses report that the police came in and removed the door jambs and the sheetrock, dug out bullets, and then again, we don't have any of this evidence because it all got destroyed.
Oh my God.
So the witnesses who were there report that in all, there were probably about 13 bullets shot. Okay. This is also
2
confirmed.
guns.
Yeah.
We never saw him reload.
No, because remember
they jumped on him.
Yeah, he shot 2 and then yeah.
Oh my God.
And so if the theory is if you believe these people who were like the police came in, they removed all these other, misfired bullets, then there were 13 shots fired, and that can be confirmed by acoustic analysis. So if you like the audio recordings they have of everything that was happening, there's kind of mixed results. So a lot of people are like, yeah, that's clearly 13 shots, which coincides with the 13 alleged bullets we can account for.
Right.
But some experts have said, these. And the shots were too close together to have been a single gun. So it would have had to be 2 shooters, as we've been saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, some experts have challenged the reports of 13 shots and said, I don't know if I really hear 13 shots on this acoustic analysis, but almost everyone agrees that there were at least 10, somewhere between 10 and 13 shots.
More than 8.
More than 8.
More than 8.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
How did they get acoustic recordings?
Well, there was a lot of press around because he was doing a press conference. Okay. So wouldn't you like to go back and see this bullet that's lodged in the door frame that counters the entire official story?
Oh,
Yeah.
have they never been able to get it out?
They changed the door frame.
All the evidence destroyed.
Of course it was.
Do you know?
Of course.
And you know what? The FBI had to destroy any evidence they had because it was just taking up too much room.
Oh my
No.
Yeah. The trial hadn't even finished and they had destroyed all the evidence.
Oh
I'm like, also,
my
if you're out
God.
of room, I feel like there's probably other crimes you can destroy evidence for before like one of the largest crimes in this century.
Or you just like, don't they have money? Just go buy another warehouse.
Just put it in the cheese caves or something,
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But we do have about 20 FBI witnesses who reported seeing the additional bullets lodged in the door frame and the wall. So if you were to believe that there were more than 8 shots fired, then there had to be a second person involved, right? Because he only had 8 bullets.
Mhm.
And if you look at all of this, and if you look at the bullets that lodged in the wall that didn't actually hit anybody, then there were more than 8 shots fired.
Right.
And so there had to have been 2 shooters.
Shooters,
Right.
yeah.
So Dr. Noguchi was the coroner. Now,
Noguchi.
he maintains that this was the perfect autopsy because he's like, I saw what happened with JFK. I didn't want that to happen again. I got all these experts to come. They were all present. And so he's like, this was a perfect autopsy. And I'm telling you, the guy was behind him and shot him from an inch away. But he wasn't permitted to testify in court. In fact, he was fired and accused of being derelict in the autopsy because they wanted to shut him up.
Yeah, of course.
Or was it a bad autopsy?
They wanted to shut up. There's no doubt.
And RFK Jr. maintains it was a perfect autopsy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
So
Sounds like they didn't want him to talk.
Sirhan's lawyer did not try to dispute all this conflicting evidence. He just had him plead guilty by diminished capacity. So did he even have like a good trial? If he had just had a lawyer who would have been like, let's question all of this conflicting evidence, you know?
I don't think they ever would have won though. If they're fighting the government, they're gonna get shot down one way or another.
And Sirhan actually asked for a new lawyer, but he was denied.
Isn't that
illegal?
I think they have to have a good reason. And I think it also delays. Like if you're just like, you can't just like fire your lawyer every year.
Right.
Because then the trial always gets postponed.
Right.
So I'm sure there's rules about that. So I'm going to say the bullets that struck RFK
Yeah.
did not come from the gun that Sirhan allegedly possessed.
This is insane.
Okay.
Wait a second. And
Not a
this
match.
guy's still like in prison?
Yes.
That's
Not a
so
match.
sad.
This is why there's all this conversation. This is why
Right.
they're like release the records.
Right.
Okay? There is no chain of custody on the gun. So
Right.
this evidence was poorly collected, poorly maintained. And as I mentioned, the LAPD crime library also, I'm sorry, I told you about the FBI destroying evidence. Well, the LAPD crime lab destroyed 2,400 pieces of evidence 3 weeks before the trial even started.
Oh my gosh.
How is that?
It's not even like he was found guilty and then they were like, okay, let's get rid of it. Like
They didn't even let a trial happen.
2,400
How did they
pieces
get
of
away
evidence.
with that? How did they do that?
Here, some of the theories, again, about some of these people we've talked about, was it Caesar, who was a contracted security guard. So his full-time job was at Lockheed Martin, where he carried a security clearance. He did like moonlighting as a security guard, and he was a last-minute replacement by the hotel. He claimed to be CIA. So either he is CIA or he thinks he's CIA. Either way, he's dangerous, right? Perhaps he was like MK Ultra into believing he was CIA. He was posted at the kitchen, and there were complaints that there wasn't sufficient security in the kitchen because there were just like too many randos hanging about. So like he's a security guard whose job is to protect the kitchen, and everyone's like, why is the kitchen so unprotected? Right? He thought Kennedy was going to, quote, sell the country down the road to the commies or minorities like his brother did, end quote. He pulled his weapon, but he says he was carrying a .38, not a .22 caliber gun. He then sold his gun within months of the shooting.
Of course he did.
Very suspicious. And he tried to allege that he had sold it before the assassination, but we found paper records that indicate that he actually sold it on September 6th. So after. He denies shooting his weapon that day, but witnesses report seeing the security firing a gun. And he was standing to the right and directly behind Kennedy, which matches exactly where the bullets come from. So when we look at the pictures, this guy had the perfect position.
He killed him.
Yep. He failed a polygraph. He requested not to be called to testify, and in fact, he did not testify. But again, he was physically closest to RFK. So how did he
Oh my
have to
God.
testify? So RFK Jr., he believes that Sirhan fired shots, like again, these 2 shots maybe. So he had a gun, he fired shots, but he's not the one who actually.
We needed the Pats.
So Caesar lives in the Philippines now, and he actually told RFK Jr., I'm happy to talk to you for the low price of $25,000.
Right.
And so
I mean, I feel like that's not that much.
That
for
doesn't seem
RFK
like that
Jr.
much. Yeah.
also, though, it's just a dick move. Like, you're like, I just want to know what happened to my dead dad. And they're like, well, I'll tell you because I was there, but only if you
$25.
pay me $25,000.
$25,000.
Yeah, but like you shouldn't have to pay anything to give someone some closure and some answers.
No, I agree. But $25,000
I think it might have-
doesn't seem like that much.
I think it was a principle thing. I think RFK was like, he was set, he was going to go, and then he was like, on principle, I'm not going.
Not paying.
So I can write you a check and you can lie to me.
Right. Well, that's true. That's valid.
Okay, and then we have Scott Enyart. He was a photographer who was taking pictures in the pantry during the shooting. The police confiscated all of his film, and then they told him, we never took your film. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my God.
He got a lawyer who was able to return some of the photos, but none of
That
the
they
photos that
allegedly-
occurred during the shooting were returned to him.
No, right.
He was standing behind Caesar, so theoretically, if the LAPD was correct in their version of events, then we would want to see these pictures because it would clear Caesar as the suspect.
But they don't want to clear Caesar.
But they don't want to clear Caesar, so they've hidden the photos from us.
This is insane.
So missing. Okay.
And destroyed now?
We don't know. We don't know where they went. They never gave them back to him. And then I mentioned, people kept talking about the woman in the polka dot dress. Because remember I mentioned that this woman in this polka dot dress maybe was hanging out with him, made him the cup of coffee, was
What
with
a
him when he got
lady.
the gun.
Do you think she drugged him with the coffee?
Oh.
Well, we have multiple witnesses who reported this.
That's why he can't remember what happened?
There were multiple witnesses who saw this woman in a polka dot dress. And
Right.
there was a campaign volunteer who was sitting on the fire escape to get some air just kind of outside the hotel. And she said that she saw this girl who was in a white dress with black polka dots, light skin, dark hair, and a pixie cut, and a, quote, funny nose that was very Bob Hope or Richard Nixon-esque. It's like very specific.
Yeah, that
right?
is specific.
I don't know who Bob Hope is.
He was like the USO guy. So she said that this female passed her with 2 Hispanic men, and then later the female and one of the men came out. She claimed that after hearing what she thought was backfiring cars, the woman and a man ran by, and the woman said, "We shot him, we shot him." And then this witness said, "What are you talking about? Who'd you shoot?" And they said, "Senator Kennedy." She says both men were short. The one who went in and came out was 5'5", 23 years old, olive complexion, black hair, gold sweater, Mexican-American. And this witness was Mexican-American. So she's like, I think I can identify a Mexican-American.
Right.
The other man who went in but did not come out, Sirhan perhaps,
Yep.
was 23, 5'3", with curly bushy hair and light-colored clothes. And she said when she saw a picture of Sirhan in the paper, she was like, that's him. That's the man I told you about.
Yeah.
But she said that she was questioned, and like the David Morales, who was a CIA agent, kind of questioned her and bullied her into changing her story. And we have all this on tape until finally she goes, you know what, whatever you want me to say, I'll say.
Oh.
So we kind of bullied me into like shutting up about this, but now she's come back out and she's talking about it again. And this CIA agent, David Morales, was heard drunkenly telling his friends, quote, "I was in Dallas when we got that motherfucker, and I was in Los Angeles when we got the little bastard."
Oh my God.
So was he part of the cover-up? A CIA agent
It sounds like it.
covering up the witnesses.
Yeah.
100%.
And we also had a couple who saw the same scene that this person described, and they filed a police report, but it was never investigated. And we have about 10 people in total who reported seeing Sirhan and this lady in the polka dot dress, but no one has ever been able to identify the polka dot dress. Okay, so there's a 23-year-old woman named Kathy Fulmer who did come forward, and she was like, I was at the hotel. I was in a polka dot dress. She committed suicide a week after the
My God.
Oh my goodness.
And then we have a bunch of other people like the Valerie Schulte. LAPD's like, this is the woman who was in the dress. She was a 22-year-old white female with blonde hair. Her dress was lime green with yellow polka dots. Like she was on
Nothing that
crutches.
fit it.
She was on crutches because she'd broken her leg. Like none of this matches.
And like you would spot somebody with crutches.
Yes,
Like that would have
that would have been how you recognize them.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's like dozens of people that like, oh, this could be, but not one of them really sounds like what these witnesses described.
Right.
Okay, so again, I know this is kind of all over the place, but kind of where I was going with this, and kind of what the theory is about the conspiracy is that Sirhan was MK Ultra, because again, he has no recollection of the assassination or the aftermath, and his lawyers actually accuse the CIA of hypnotizing him. We have declassified documents that reveal the CIA was monitoring RFK, and there were 3 operatives at the hotel that day, one of whom was David Morales. And remember, we talked about how maybe the CIA took out JFK because they couldn't control him, and that so people are the same could be said for MLK Jr. and RFK.
Well, yeah. They were going, yeah.
And again, we have talked.
You mean there's a narrative that the government wants to push, and
Yeah,
and if you get in the way, they're just gonna
Take you out.
take you out.
So Operation Artichoke was a covert CIA program that predated MK Ultra, and it was primarily focused on researching and developing methods of mind control, interrogation techniques, and behavior manipulation. It began in the early 1950s, around the same time the CIA was exploring the use of LSD and other drugs for potential intelligence gathering purposes. The operation was designed to study the use of hypnosis, drugs like LSD, and other psychological techniques to extract information from individuals and potentially even control their behavior. One of the key objectives was to investigate, are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Can an individual be made to perform an assassination involuntarily or under the influence of artichoke against a prominent politician or, if necessary, an American official? End quote.
Oh my
Are you kidding me?
Does that not sound like exactly what could have happened?
That's
Are you kidding
exactly
me?
What could have happened?
Mm-mm.
That's insane.
There's also a theory that the polka dot dress girl could have been a sex worker who,
Mhm.
like, I'm sorry, Kate, you thought maybe there was some drugging of the coffee?
Right.
Well, that's the theory. So we have Operation Midnight Climax, which
Mm.
was a covert CIA operation that took place in the 50s and the 60s, which again was kind of part of MK Ultra, and it involved setting up safe houses in San Francisco and New York where CIA agents secretly lured unsuspecting men, often using prostitutes. The individuals were unknowingly dosed with LSD while their actions and behavior were observed through one-way mirrors and hidden cameras.
Oh my God.
The goal of the operation was
CIA is so
dirty.
wild.
Yes. So the goal was to study the effects of LSD and other drugs on human behavior, often without consent or knowledge of the participants. It was part of a broader series of experiments the CIA conducted to explore methods of mind control, brainwash, and interrogation during the Cold War. And it was a secret for many years. And then it kind of came out when we learned about MK Ultra. We kind of discovered this and everyone's like, gosh, this is so controversial and unethical. So when Sirhan Sirhan was arrested, he was described as having dilated pupils,
Mhm.
consistent with LSD maybe. So
Is he on drugs?
yeah, that's the thought. He was like, man, I'm drunk. Maybe somebody drugged him when he was drinking his Tom Collins. I don't know. But this girl goes, let me help you. Let me make you a cup of coffee. Gets dosed in his coffee. And then he doesn't know what the fuck is happening. Okay.
This is suspicious.
They discovered some journal entries of his that just wrote like RFK must die, RFK must die.
Oh my God.
Makes me think of like The Simpsons, you know?
Yes.
But these journal entries, people are like, they look like rants that were maybe made under hypnosis. So was he being like repetitively hypnotized when he was
To
doing
hate RFK.
or when he was doing all this crazy religious,
Oh my God.
hypnotic alchemy shit?
This is like Hunger Games, the sequel.
Yeah.
When they made PETA mind,
The Tracker Jackers.
they made him obsessively hate Katniss so that he would try to kill her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sounds very familiar.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is real because of Hunger Games.
So J. Edgar Hoover, we've talked about in the past as well. J. Edgar Hoover reportedly said that John Mayhew had this had John Mayhew written all over it, but I'm powerless to do anything about it. Because remember, if we go back to our MLK episode, they were blackmailing J. Edgar Hoover.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They knew all about his secret life.
Mm-hmm.
He apparently admitted to being involved. The theory involves that Mayhew and Don Nixon, who was Richard Nixon's brother, were in cahoots, and they recruited Caesar, that security guard. Multiple witnesses who report they admitted to this in social circles. Mayhew had ties to the owner of the racetrack that Sirhan Sirhan worked at as a jockey. So did he get the owner to pick him out a candidate? Was he like, I need somebody that I can hypnotize and I can use in my assassination plot? And he's like, well, I got this jockey over here who, because the deal was Sirhan Sirhan was walking, his job as a jockey was to walk the horses around the track. And so he does that every day for months. And then one day they said, you know what? You're ready. Get up on this horse, race around the track.
Right.
So, of course, the first day he ever rides a horse, he gets bucked off. He hits his head on the metal railing and then spent 3 months recovering from that TBI in the hospital. But if you look at his medical records claim he was only in the hospital for 1 hour, got some stitches, and was discharged. So,
What?
where was he for the missing 3 months of his
Being
life?
hypnotized.
Being brainwashed?
Oh my God.
Yeah, MK Ultra.
Mm-hmm. And then we have William Bryan, who was heavily involved in MK Ultra. He had a private practice for sex therapy,
Oh.
and he would exploit and sleep with his female patients.
Oh.
So he's a real problem, and he was actually temporarily disbarred.
Wow.
But he told 2 sex workers that he had hypnotized Sirhan Sirhan to kill RFK. And he also bragged about deprogramming the Boston Strangler, which we're going to talk about in another episode, say the Boston Strangler. But again, if we go back, I was telling you about these ramblings of like RFK must die. In his ramblings, in Sirhan Sirhan's journal with these ramblings about RFK must die, DeSalvo was jotted down a few times. And who was DeSalvo? The alleged Boston Strangler. So people theorize that William Bryan might have been bragging about DeSalvo while he had Sirhan under hypnosis. Like, I'm such a badass. Like, I deprogrammed this.
Oh,
Right.
Because how is this ending up in his notes? So anyway, it's just like, it's all connected.
one giant web.
So that's pretty much the conspiracy. It was all
I feel like Sirhan
Duran.
was definitely under some influence, but I don't think his gunshots killed RFK. Definitely 2 guns in the room. Definitely was not a one-man job. Definitely was pre-planned.
Definitely was covered up by
It most definitely
the LAPD and the FBI.
Yeah. That's
and the
crazy.
CIA.
That is crazy.
Yeah, like I said, the RFK Jr.
Do you think Sirhan pulled out his gun like because he heard shots? Do you think he like did it out of defense and like?
Or did the other guy shoot because he heard shots? Like, did Caesar shoot in response to Sirhan's shots?
I don't know why he went and got. I mean, I guess you would have to think he was hypnotized and manipulated to go get this gun, to show up with a gun, right?
Oh yeah,
But and I guess that's the theory. So then he showed up and
you
they
think that they were
told
like-
him to pull out his gun, but it was all just a cover to distract people from Caesar, who was just like,
Killing him?
pew pew.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I or maybe like the mind control was like when you hear gunshots, you pull out your gun.
Okay, maybe there was a trigger.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like there's always a trigger.
Yeah,
Yeah, that you
maybe
have
when
to
the
trigger-
lights flash
Yeah,
or something.
when you get a cup of coffee,
Yeah.
you pull out your gun.
Yeah, something like that. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Like Pavlo.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah.
Pavlov.
Yeah, Pavlov.
Oh, yeah.
Pavlovian Pavlov, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think a couple of future conspiracies for us to talk about the Kennedys, maybe more in depth, but just some interesting facts I have for you that it sounds like you already kind of
The
know some of
sister?
this. But Kennedy, RFK had an older brother, Joseph Jr., and he had 7 younger siblings, Rosemary, Kathleen, Eunice,
Rosemary.
Patricia, Robert, Jean, and Ted. So in 1969, let's just talk about some of these siblings, okay? In 1969, Senator Ted Kennedy was driving a car with a 28-year-old woman when the car
Mhm.
went off a bridge and into a pond on Chappaquiddick Island in Massachusetts. Do you know it?
No,
Okay, I want you to pronounce it for me.
it's Native American.
Kennedy managed to escape from the car, but she was trapped inside. She drowned, and he did not report the accident until hours later, leading to public criticism of his actions.
He's probably drunk.
And yeah, of course, and doing something he shouldn't have been doing with a young girl.
Young lady.
Yeah. The incident raised serious questions about his conduct and his response to the tragedy, though it was not determined that he directly caused her death. He later pled guilty to leaving the scene of an accident and was sentenced to 2 months in jail, but he did not serve time. Then we had Rosemary. What do you know about Rosemary?
It's really sad.
So Rosemary,
They kept her hidden.
Rosemary had some mental disabilities. She had some developmental issues, a little slow, and so her dad approved a lobotomy for her. So she underwent a lobotomy that left her completely dependent.
Like if you look at the pre and post, like pre-lobotomy, she was like able to walk, talking, she was doing things. She was just slower than the average child. And then post-lobotomy, she was put pretty much hospitalized for the rest of her life. And they stopped talking about her.
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
Is she still alive?
I think she's dead now.
Yeah.
Yeah, she died at the age of 86 in 2005. She had developmental delays, and then she was becoming really like irritable and difficult. And so her dad got her a lobotomy when she was 23, and then she was unable to speak or care for
So
herself.
sad.
And she had to live in an institution in Wisconsin. And initially, I don't know that they said she was dead, but they did. Yeah, like
They
no one
kept her
visited her.
secret.
No one. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I think that later on, people started to feel bad, and her siblings came to visit her and that kind of thing.
Well, a lot of the thing with the Kennedys is that
Oh, here we go.
it's like a little bit like the royals, right? Like they wanted to present publicly a very certain way. And so having a child who didn't fit that picture was kind of a no-no.
Yeah, but what's really sad is that that she was born during the Spanish influenza, and so the doctors were like busy when her mom went into labor, and they said,
Might
just
have-
keep your legs closed. And so did they deprive her of oxygen instead of deliver the
so
baby?
yeah, had toxic brain injury.
Keep your legs closed, girl.
And then we had Joseph Kennedy.
Do they still do lobotomies? They don't, right?
No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Joseph Kennedy was a military pilot, and his plane exploded in 1944, killing him at the age of 29. Just kind of a sad tragedy.
Kennedy
Yeah.
curse.
And then we are going to cover at some point Marilyn Monroe because, right?
Mhm.
Allegedly, JFK was having an affair with Marilyn Monroe.
Mr. President.
Allegedly, RFK was having an affair with Marilyn Monroe.
I mean,
Yep.
if you could get it with Marilyn, good for you.
So, were they part of the conspiracy of her death?
Happy birthday.
I think she definitely wasn't it like part of the mob? Like, wasn't the mob involved? In,
That's
like,
going to be another episode.
yeah.
Birthday to you.
That's going to be another episode. Okay, so you guys are not buying that Sirhan Sirhan just walked in with a gun,
No.
pew-pewed
No.
13 times with
No.
a gun that only had
They're hot
bullets.
stuff.
And the bullets that struck RFK did not match the gun that Sirhan had.
Yeah.
No one's buying it. All right, well, hopefully we'll get some information when they release the records. After we finish going through the tens of thousands of JFK records, we can move on to the RFK records.
RFK records that
And really get to the bottom of this one.
were mostly destroyed.
Guys, just a reminder, don't forget to check out our Facebook and Instagram pages at 3 Scheme Queens. That's the number 3 Scheme Queens, all one word. We're also on Reddit, same username. If you want to check out our website, go to 3schemequeens.com and you can find links to our social media accounts, our Buzzsprout page, all of our episodes, additional content, our contact page, and our discussion board where you can engage with us and share any updates on the topics that we have discussed. Let us know how we're doing and what you want to hear next. There are also opportunities to financially support us. There are links to buy us a cup of coffee, links to our recently updated merch store, and affiliate links. And as always, if you choose not to financially support us, we appreciate the follows, the downloads, listens, the likes.
Yeah, Kate, what should the people do?
Yeah, the people, if they like this episode, take out your phone right now, text your friends, choose 3 people that like the Kennedys, and share our episode with them. And then after that, you should scroll on down, leave us a 5-star review, share us on your social media accounts, leave us some comments, interact with us on Instagram, and yeah.
Sounds good. And we will see you. We're going to have a nice, lighthearted, fun one next week. So we'll
Yeah, get ready for it.
see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.
See ya.